Welcome to the Poke It podcast with me, Pete Jenkins, and my co-host, Nicola Cairncross. In the show, we'll be getting deeply interested in everything and everyone, including business and entrepreneurship, investing, crypto, great films, books, and sci-fi, served up with great food and wine, and a little bit of gamification, and the odd guest thrown in for good measure. You can join in the conversation anytime at the Poke It podcast private group on Facebook. Now, let's see what we're going to be poking at today, shall we?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I think that was the first time in years I actually took a proper break over Christmas from work.
Really? Yeah. And what did you do with that proper break, Pete?
I spent a good 4 days with my daughter, which was nice. And key thing we did, that really made Christmas was we signed up to Disney Plus.
Oh, that makes such a difference.
We watched quite a few films.
We got a bit of a delay, I think. Have you worked your way through The Mandalorian yet?
No, but I have started and I'm hooked.
It's so good, isn't it? It's like a cowboy movie, but set in space with a cute baby.
I've got to the cowboy movie feeling of it. I like that.
Yeah. It's very cool. And there's a fantastic series called The Making of the Mandalorian, which is divided up into different parts. So you can watch the bit about the actors, the directors. They had a team of directors on this, and they had a top director. And then the things I most love were where they talked about the making of the music and the making of the puppets, which were just brilliant. And it was really interesting. They said that every time the baby was on set, the baby puppet was on set, because the puppet masters were so good at making it carrying on interacting, they actually all treated it as if it was a real thing.
That sounds like a lot of fun to make, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It sounds like a lot of fun to work on.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, we had a sort of weird Christmas because it had to be changed at the last minute because of the lockdown. So I was going to cook on Christmas Day, and then the kids were going to go to their dad's on Boxing Day. But because he's a very law-abiding citizen, and he's with a dentist who's very scrupulous about things like PPE and protection and stuff, they went to him on Christmas Day in the end. So I was on my own on Christmas Day, which was a real shame, because if I'd have known earlier, I could have arranged something. But I got through it. It was fine. I wasn't that upset. And we had a lovely day on Boxing Day instead. So that was our Christmas Day. But obviously, Bitcoin made a massive leap on Christmas Day, which was...
I wondered if you'd mentioned that.
Yes. Well, I can't bear not to. And so that was very interesting. And since then, it's been absolutely incredible. As you know, it's doubled since Christmas again, which is just the most exciting thing ever, isn't it?
I try not to believe it. It doesn't look real.
No, it doesn't look real.
I might have been reading up on capital gains tax.
Yes. And can I also recommend this book, which is very, very useful indeed.
Nomad Capitalist.
Yes.
Okay.
It's How to Reclaim Your Freedom with Offshore Bank Accounts, Dual Citizenship, Foreign Companies and Overseas Investments. And it's all completely legal, but it's all about how you might want to think about relocate your country of residence and how to go about that and things like that. Because there's lots of people, like, for example, Portugal, there's no tax on crypto trading, on gains from crypto trading. Mm-hmm. And Greece will let you in right now if you can prove, they'll give you a really, really preferential rate for the next tax rate for the next 12 years and things like that. So I'm seriously thinking about relocating, not to live away all the time, but to basically relocate to another country. And you don't even have to have your company based in the same country that you're actually residing in. And you don't actually have to reside in the country that you're actually in all the time. So you can have your residence in one country, but be traveling the world all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to know more about that.
Did you?
My dad had a company registered in the Seychelles for a while.
Did he? Okay. Yeah. Well, then,
I was in the expectation of making a fortune, which we never did, so it didn't really get used.
Yeah. Andrew Henderson, the nomadcapitalist.com, and he's got a fantastic YouTube channel, which is how I stumbled across him originally. And he lives in all sorts of places, and they're places you wouldn't necessarily expect either, which is quite interesting. He's an ex-American. But yeah, check it out. And what else have I done? Nothing on New Year's Eve, but we had we started to watch the Favourite last night. You know, it's a film about a queen. I haven't actually puzzled out which queen yet, but it's very entertaining. But it's been filmed. Half of it's been filmed with what looks like a GoPro, so it's got like this fisheye lens effect. It's really very strange.
Okay. Because they smuggled one back in time to record the real thing.
That's right. Yes, it's very odd, and you know, I quite like unusual effects normally, but this, I'm not sure if we like this or not. Me and Thebes. So Nelson's gone back to work now, so he's out in the freezing cold doing patios, soffit boards, and guttering. But he likes it. He likes being out and about and getting around, especially at the moment. He said he'd be going crazy if he was locked down again properly.
Yeah. I get that.
I've had a spirited and lively correspondence with my local MP.
What, he actually replied?
Well, he did. I've written to him 3 times. He replied the first time, and I've only just had a reply about 2 weeks later from my second letter, and I've sent him a third one in the meantime. But he's got a bit more backbone than the rest, but I'm not hopeful that any of the Conservatives are going to come to our rescue anytime soon. And we know the Labour Party aren't, so they're just rolling over and going with everything. So who to vote for next time will be a challenge.
Well, it depends where you're a resident.
That's true. Very true. Mexico's quite top of the list at the moment.
Mexico? Okay.
Yes. There's a guy called the Dollar Vigilante who lives in Mexico, and he's a Bitcoin multimillionaire. Even more so now, and he's not resident in Mexico. I think he's got resident in Dominican Republic, but he's living at the moment in Mexico. Looks great.
It does. I mean, as much as I'm a fan of the nomad lifestyle, it's difficult when you've got an 8-year-old.
Yes, that does make it very difficult.
And other connections. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does, unless your other connections are willing to.
This seems unlikely, particularly in lockdown.
Consider the no. It's just, I don't know. It's the thought of this law coming where they're going to make it illegal to actually talk about anything that might be injected in our arms in a negative fashion.
You'll have to sing it then.
Yeah.
Put it out as music and art, and then they can't.
Well, I'm not. I'm giving up now, Pete. This is it. I'm withdrawing from social media life. My keyboard warrior days are over. I can't. You know, I thought the last resort was writing to the MP, and I can't be bothered to fight with people anymore. Can't be bothered to fight with pigs because they always get. You know, we all get covered in what's it, and they love it. So it's exhausting, and it wears my energy down.
Yeah, it's a weird world at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
So, what was it? Wednesday, 2 days ago, I was on the phone with a bunch of clients in America, and 3 of them were within 6 blocks of the Capitol building as that was all happening in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, they managed to carry on. They just had a lot of phone calls from like kids and relatives and
worried about.
Make sure you're home before the curfew, that sort of thing.
The curfew. What a world. Anyway, let's move on. So, what we're going to talk about this week, Pete? We're going to talk about, in view of Bitcoin's meteoric rise, lots of Bitcoin millionaires are being created as we speak. And my mentor asked me, what would you do if you didn't have to work ever again? And how would you bring meaning to your life? And I thought,
would you need to bring meaning to your life? There's a good. And would you need to bring meaning to your life?
Well, I think if we have you seen the film About a Boy?
Yes, probably.
Right. Yeah.
Basically,
it was about a guy who had no meaning in his life because he was left a lot of money from his dad wrote a jingle that's constantly earned a fortune, and the money just kept rolling in. and he'd never had to work. Or he'd gone to university, I think, but he never had to work. And his life was so meaningless. And it was about this boy that stumbles into his life and how just the human connection and trying to help someone else brought meaning to him.
Yeah. So, well, there's a bunch of things here. Personally, all the research I'm aware of from gamification and psychology is one of the key things that motivates us and keeps us engaged in life is purpose. Yeah. So the second part of your question. And that purpose could be personal and meaningful to you, or it could be like save the world type.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think mine, I like learning new skills, keeping doing that. So there's like a personal basis. And I like teaching others. So they kind of link together. So if you teach others and they can get better, then you can have an impact.
Yes.
On the world. So I feel like I would probably, even if I didn't have to work, still be doing gamification. But just maybe getting rid of, like, I don't know, admin, maybe not doing that much consulting, just really working on helping people improve. But it's not that dissimilar to what I'm doing.
Well, you're a rich man already then, aren't you?
Rich in choices, yeah?
Yes, exactly. If you're doing something you love, I mean, I can't imagine. You know, I was seriously thinking about turning everything off and just going down to, because I've really enjoyed working with Roger, you know, my most recent client, who's just gone on to do amazing things. And I thought if I just had 3 or 4 clients like him a year, that would be really, truly amazing and really good fun. And so I've seriously over Christmas thought about turning everything off and turning some of my websites into just pages that direct people to a high level consulting service. But I can't quite bring myself to do it yet. I can't quite bring myself to turn off my mailing lists and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you spent a long time building them as well. You'll be emotionally attached.
25 years, yes.
Yeah. And maybe they're worth something, you know? Maybe there's a way to bring someone on board, get them to do parts of it and deliver some parts.
It's not big enough. I mean, the thing that really...
That's one of those, what do you call it, withholding beliefs.
Negative beliefs.
Limiting
beliefs. Yeah.
Limiting beliefs, that's the word. Because when I sold my telecoms company, I thought it was too small that no one would buy it. Okay?
In terms of turnover or profit or what?
Yeah, all of those.
Yeah.
But actually it had 3 offers.
Right.
You just had to think about who wanted it and what they would get out of it and what they thought they'd be able to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you hang out with a bunch of other internet marketers, don't you?
I do, but my list isn't big enough to interest any of them because my traffic's been throttled by Google for years, since 2006. My mailing list has shrunk, and although I have run paid promotions to, you know, get new leads in, just recently I run one. It's still too small to be of much interest to most people, although it is quite responsive. I get a 60% open rate, which is quite high for an email mailing list.
I think that's really high. I think, are there any up and coming people in your industry that could do with a hand? How about you mentor someone and it happens to be part of that is passing over the mailing list?
Oh, I don't think I want to do it to my subscribers, really.
What? So how would I think about this? The first business I sold was, well, part of my business was software reselling antivirus. Okay, it was this security software.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want it as part of my business anymore because it was a different audience to sell to than my current audience, than all the other products I had. But also, I was using that antivirus software for my own company. So I wanted to make sure everyone was handed over to someone who would provide as good as or better service than I was. Mm. So that's what I hunted for. So what thing of value you could add to your mailing list is to find someone who's as good or better than you to look after them in the future.
There are people like that. There are.
There's always someone, isn't there?
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe it's a small organization rather than just an individual.
You're right. I'm not emotionally ready to let go of it.
Mm.
So what would you? Okay, so let's say, right, Bitcoin goes to 200K, like they're predicting in the end of this year. Would you? What would you do? What would you? I mean, most people would spend a period of self-indulgence, wouldn't they? They'd perhaps travel or spend their time getting, women particularly spend their time getting pampered a bit and stuff like that. What would you do if you suddenly didn't have to work anymore?
Well, I feel like there's two scenarios we need to discuss. One is where lockdown is still happening.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the first thing most people will do will be just like paint and redecorate.
Okay.
Have a new view. Maybe a mural of a desert island or something.
Hence the queue at B&Q.
Yeah, it's always busy at the moment.
Yeah.
I know a few people who are redecorating. So
Right.
why not? You're staring at the same walls all the time. So maybe we should discuss like the lockdown one because it might last a year or two yet.
Oh my God.
And then
Do you
separately,
really think, okay, here's a question for you. Do you really think the British public is going to put up with this for much longer?
we love queuing, yes.
Oh, yes. Good point. I
So-
had a very
Yeah.
conversation with the kids last night about what we're going to do because I wanted to know what they would want to do.
Mhm.
And Nelson's going travelling anyway. So, barring the fact that they actually stop planes flying, he would be able to go travelling in the summer. So Phoebe and I have to make our decisions based on him going travelling. So that was a bit of clarity as well. And I was trying to get, because they're so, what's the word I'm looking? Stoic. They're stoic. They just put their heads down and get on with each day. They're happy-go-lucky characters. They don't get, the wild swings of emotion that I get. They're like their father in that regard. And so I was trying to outline some scenarios to them. Okay, so what if they make vaccines compulsory? What if they pass these laws and they start putting people into camps that don't want the vaccines? How much would you put up? I was saying to them, what would make you take action? And Nelson said, I've got faith in the great British public. I said, well, everyone except you. Because we all imagine there's this great big pot of people out there that are going to save us from the government. But actually, that great big pot of people is us.
Yes, we have to do stuff if we want change to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the conversation we were having last night. And I was saying, what's it going to take for us all to get hopping mad enough? So do you think you would carry on putting up with lockdowns for another year?
Well, yeah, probably. I'm enjoying moving to a online basis, so it just gives me more time to do that without having to compete against people doing stuff in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on the bright side of these things. Also, various elements of my life are going very well. So.
Yes, so you're actually quite happy with the way things are. It's like my kids; they're perfectly happy. They said the only thing they can't do is go to the pub. And that's helped them save money to put into.
Well, it does help you save money, but I do miss going to the pub, eating out, and I really miss travel. But...
Yeah. All of those things. See, my life really is not that great. I mean, it's great in the flat and with my kids, and work and money and stuff. But everything that makes my life meaningful is I'm not able to do it right now, apart from reading and watching telly. That's all I can do.
What about writing?
Yeah, well, I'm so emotionally disturbed most of the time. I can't write.
Well, that sounds like you just need to write a horror novel instead of sci-fi. Horror sci-fi.
Oh, talking of which,
use your emotional disturbance for the creative process.
Talking of which, The Stand's on. It's
on
Netflix. Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite. It's one of my top 10 books of all time. I love The Stand. It's got such a great premise.
It's really interesting, Stephen King. I think we're going to digress here because I've always felt like I don't like his writing style, but what he writes makes good films. Yeah,
and the funny thing about him is he's actually a very well-adjusted and pleasant individual.
Well, he's got an outlet, hasn't he?
Yes, it's true. Full of dark stuff.
Everyone needs an outlet.
Yeah. I hope that I will come back to writing. I really do. But it just seems so utterly trivial at the moment to write fiction.
So what would your purpose be then? So if you didn't have to work from now on, and writing is like a creative thing. So I mean, if I'm high on my list of things to do would be creative things. I would learn a new art form or something.
Okay.
But writing could be one. But what's your purpose?
Okay, so are we talking about a non-lockdown situation now? Because all of the things I'd want to do, like go on a Tuscan watercolour painting retreat, are all dependent on us not being locked down.
Okay, let's do that scenario first. Then.
It's more cheery. What would I do?
So what would you do in a non-lockdown scenario, assuming you don't have to work again?
I'd go back to Greece for a little while, for a month at least. I'd go to Greece 3 times a year for at least a month, because you're allowed 90 days in every 180. Mm-hmm. And I would go to probably crypto conferences now rather than internet marketing conferences, and hang out with crypto characters. And
now, why would you do that if you don't have to work again?
Because I need intellectual stimulation.
Okay, so that's a key.
Yeah,
key element.
Like you, I like to learn new things, and I like to share what I've learned as well. Teachers at heart, really, aren't we?
Some of the time. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about making a difference, isn't it? So one way to do that is through teaching.
Yes, it is. And one of the things I'm most happy about is that a lot of the people I've been talking to about Bitcoin over the last year have actually got into it, including my VA in the Philippines. And she's, I sent her a couple of bonuses, which she just told me recently she put into Bitcoin. And she's very happy with how they've done.
I can imagine.
In the Philippines, that makes a major difference in your life, to have an appreciating asset. Yeah. So I'm really, that gives me a lot of pleasure. And all the teams have got into it. And I'm really happy about that, because that's going to make a major difference to a lot of their lives later on.
Yeah, definitely. Here's another digression. You mentioned like Ripple in passing, XRP, I think.
Well, yes, that hasn't done well, has it, recently, since that lawsuit?
Well, except that you mentioned it after that lawsuit.
I did.
And I had a little dabble and made 30% on it.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I think I went and had a look in my wallet and I had some already, so I just left it there. Yeah, I thought.
But then I saw an email today that someone saying it wasn't going to be a great asset for the long term. So I was like, okay, dabble done. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, you've realised your profit and you got out, and that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've just put that aside for paying capital gains tax.
Yeah. I tell you, Pete, I'm a bit disillusioned about the whole making. Because I could restart the money gym tomorrow, but being shadow banned for so long and finding that out has really sort of put me off trying to start any kind of movement that helps a lot of people. I think I'm just going to try and make a personal impact on the people around me.
Well, do you know, that's what I was going to mention. So why not think local, where you don't have to do it through the internet?
So word of mouth could spread.
Yeah, because that's what's working for you already, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd really like to go on that screenwriting fortnight down in Beaconsfield with the National Film and Television School. But again, that depends on non-lockdown. There's lots of things I'd like to do, and there's lots of things I'd like to learn. But it all depends on us being allowed out.
It does, but it doesn't sound like you've got like an overall strategy.
What do you mean?
There's a bunch of interesting things you'd like to do. What happens when you've done them?
Well, some of them are ongoing. So writing and painting, watercolours and...
so not just the retreat, but also actually doing something with it afterwards.
No, I know. No, you go on the retreat to do... I like intensive learning. I like cram learning, where you really... what's it called? Ultra learning.
Ultra, is it now? Okay.
Yeah, it's called ultra learning. Where you go and you really, really spend a lot of time doing something in a very short space of time. And, learn. I'd like to learn a language. I'd like to learn how to speak Greek. That's very hard, though. Very hard. I've tried it before. Many times. And although I've got to say, the last time I watched My Family and Other Animals, or whatever it's called, the Durrells, I did understand every bit of Greek they said in the programme. So I was
subconsciously absorbed quite a lot of it while you were there.
Yeah. Yeah. It might got no memory, though. That's the problem. I can't remember any of it. Unless I'm immersed in it.
Well, it sounds like you need to combine challenges and write your first novel in Greek.
Oh, that would be impossible. Even the people I know that have been learning Greek for 20 years can't write books in Greek. So, okay, so an overall strategy then.
Yeah.
I think just to have a nice life, just to enjoy, to get up every day and not have anything in the diary and just think, what would I like to do today?
But that can be tough if you have a low day or something. You're like, oh, I've got no higher purpose. Why should I bother getting out of bed?
Higher purpose.
Something to drive you forwards. I like, when you're a parent, while you're raising your kids, that's the main purpose, isn't it? Even as grandparents.
Well, exactly. I've got grandchildren at some point, haven't I? Although Phoebe did say she couldn't think about bringing a child into the world right now. the way it is. So it's putting a lot of kids off, I think.
Yeah, you might have a long wait.
That'll take care of the population explosion if a whole generation decide it's not a great place to bring kids into. Then they did that in the 60s and 70s, didn't they? People were saying things like that.
Well, I mean, but on the other hand, what else was there to do in lockdown?
Oh, yes, good point.
So there might be a boom.
There might be a boom indeed, a lockdown boom. So, see, I don't know if I need a higher purpose for the rest of my life now, because I've done the money gym. That was really something that I had a passion and a mission for. And then I've done the internet marketing, trying to help, which I absolutely love. And I've brought my kids up, and they're grown up, happy, healthy, well-adjusted pair. And so I think I don't really need a higher purpose anymore.
So have you had your impact on the world? Is that it?
I've had more of an impact on the world than most people have.
Mm-hmm.
The money gym impacted thousands of people. I've impacted hundreds with the Bitcoin thing. So I don't know if I need a higher purpose than that.
Job done.
Do you feel you've still got a higher purpose?
Oh God, yeah. I've still got loads of people to help yet. Yeah. So long as I'm always making a positive difference in some aspect of the world each day, I'm happy. So I don't really mind what it is. Some days it might be like environmental or sustainable decisions I take, or help with projects around that. Some days it's just about teaching people so that they can. I like teaching people because if a few of them really get the bug, they will spread the word faster than I could just do on my own, or they will make a difference, a bigger difference than I could have done on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's worth doing.
Yeah, it totally is. Absolutely.
I also think I might be, when I get old, I might be one of those grumpy old so-and-sos. So I could be quite good at, fighting the local MP or.
Well, you'd be someone who writes to your MP.
Maybe. Who knows?
Do you think you'd get involved in politics yourself one day?
It seems like a pretty thankless task. Every time I think about it, because I am drawn to politics sometimes. But every time I think about it, I think I could make more difference doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as I'm making more difference in the world through the other things I'm doing, then I'm probably not that interested in politics.
Yeah.
But if I don't have to work anymore and I'm not running a business or something, then I could easily focus attention on politics.
Local. Do you think local stuff you get passionate about?
I don't know. I could do. I mean, I did used to volunteer and be a vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. So it was quite often you were talking to the council and things about how to improve the state of things for business, which I quite liked. I was interested in that.
Yeah.
Who knows what I'd be interested in now? It's a good point. I'm quite a fan. Yeah, if I didn't have to work again, I would quite like to work towards everyone else not needing to. I'm quite a fan of universal basic income and things around that. So I would be up for supporting that, because I think if people earn a certain amount without having to do anything, then they will spend more time being creative and doing other things.
Yes, but the problem is that UBI comes with strings, doesn't it?
Well, it shouldn't.
Well, it will.
So that's one of the things to fight for.
Yeah. Because having read the Culture series by Ian M. Banks, where everyone was on a very generous UBI, in that world, nobody had to work unless they wanted to. That did seem like a really good idea to me at the time. But when I found out that it was very likely to come with strings, I went right off the idea pretty sharpish.
Okay. Well, it shouldn't come with strings, because the idea of doing it is to reduce costs elsewhere in government as well. Yeah, so you just need to make sure each person gets it. Yeah. And they've kind of proved that. In the US, they've just proved that with like these one-off payments as part of recovery.
$600, that's made a huge difference to people, hasn't it? But I think the unemployment benefit's been a much higher, hasn't it? It's been $600 a week or something for each person. So in some families, it's really worth it now.
Yeah, so that's basically an equivalent. The point of UBI is to make it no strings. Yeah. So whether it's 500 quid a month, a certain amount of money that enables you to de-stress and take the pressure off to solve the basic elements of life without having to worry about it too much, because not everyone handles that very well, then you need another purpose, don't you? People are likely to start more interesting craft businesses, ideas, put some time into stuff.
It would require a very different kind of government, because I mean they're doing it in China, aren't they? But how much you get depends on how well you're being a good citizen.
That's definitely a strings attached.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I can't see any government here not doing that, because it's just too tempting for them to be able to control our activities. You know, they proved that. They love the power, don't they?
Yeah, but maybe it should be a more global thing than just a local government.
I love the idea of the world governing itself through blockchain voting and things like that. Having a little local council to run the local amenities like shoes, like schools and hospitals and bin collection and things like that. But then everybody else participating in a global voting system via blockchain technology.
Yeah, but think how powerful it would be if everyone had an independent income, no matter where they were living in the world.
So where's that income going to come from, Pete?
Well, how does global stuff work at the moment? Yeah, it's pooled, isn't it? Pooled monies. Like the EU pools monies and then spreads it out again.
So different countries pay into an EU fund and then the EU spends it accordingly.
Yeah.
According to, we're getting into politics again. This is not good. Is it that something happens to you at a certain age? It's a bit like when you're 25, you start to like asparagus. You know, it's like you don't like things until a certain age, and then you know something like there's an empathy thing, isn't there, that doesn't connect up in boys till they're later than girls. Is it something that happens to you at a certain age? You start to get interested in politics. Do you think?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's like how you were brought up. So what I noticed, a lot of MPs, they come from families of politicians.
Well, I certainly wasn't. My parents,
and they start young because of that, because they've seen it.
Yeah.
Sometimes something happens and you're offended by it and you want to make a change and a difference, and it depends when that happens near you.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're inspired to go and make stuff happen from that point of view. Sometimes you just want to make the world a better place for your kids or your grandkids. So that would be age related, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm so at war with myself inside, because I'm an action taker, and when I see something's wrong, I want to take action. But then it would be much easier to have a quieter life and retire from that and not get involved. And then you're abdicating responsibility, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if something bad happens to you, you think maybe I could have changed that.
Yeah.
I mean, from a UBI and blockchain perspective, I'm following with great interest Good Dollar, which is an experiment in that very way, run and sponsored by eToro, or the founder of.
Okay.
I've lost track, actually. It's been a while since I've read up on it. Just search for Good Dollar. Okay. But there's like 30,000 people now getting a blockchain-based daily payment based on interest and things from other blockchain investments.
The world's first digital basic income. Here we are.
Yeah.
Gooddollar.org.
That's the one.
Wow. Okay. Inequality is the defining challenge of our time. Yes, absolutely. Put new money directly in the hands of people. It creates a sustainable money flow that enables any human alive to receive and support a small daily digital income in global dollars, coins. Wow, I knew nothing about this.
Yeah, it's cool. What I really like about it, okay, is that you have to go in every day to claim it. So if you're earning a fortune, then you don't need it. You're unlikely to go and bother to claim 20 or 30 good dollars each day. But for those people who really need it, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very new, but there's now a Good Dollar marketplace where you can spend this, and there are now services you can buy. Some people are trying to make it so you can buy food and things with your good dollars. People are setting up ways to transfer good dollars to other currencies.
Well, I'm really impressed. I'm gonna swat up on this.
Well, particularly as you're interested in blockchain.
Yeah. And what it can do for the world. And that's what really got me going about Bitcoin in the first place. It wasn't just even about the money. It was about the fact that it was decentralized.
Oh, you see, what got me going about Ethereum was that it could empower these sort of things like Good Dollar.
Yes.
Yeah. And all.
So are you into Ethereum as well then, are you?
Yes. Yeah. Because it's
Okay.
I like Bitcoin because it's a store of value, shall we say. That's what it's designed for. And Ethereum because it can make stuff happen. And it has value because of that in a different respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
And does buying ETH help that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So they use the money that comes in from that to perpetrate and improve the system.
They're moving to the sort of stage where ETH is burnt when transactions happen. So you would need to. But I don't think they're at that point as yet.
I don't, because my brain, I've just tried to concentrate on Bitcoin just to learn all about that. So because my brain can only take so much. So I've sort of steered clear of the other side of it because I thought it would be overwhelmed for me.
I think it's just a way of making all this stuff happen. It's like the backbone.
Yeah.
And I think just because it's global, it's got so much scale and scope for doing things like Good Dollar and bringing a fair income to everyone in the world.
I like that idea a lot. Yes, I'm going to have a look at it. I think, do you think having a need for a purpose and meaning in your life depends on your IQ?
No.
Do you think?
No, not IQ. More emotional. Maybe it's your emotional intelligence.
Yeah, possibly. Because I keep wishing that I could just do nothing like gardening and cooking and just decorating the house and things like that. But I just know it would drive me crazy with boredom.
I remember in my mid-20s, I was unemployed for 6 weeks once. I was so bored. I just couldn't. I mean, to be fair, I was broke, so I couldn't go and do stuff.
Yeah.
But also, I was really bored because I soon found that all the people I liked hanging out with, the social element of my life, were busy because they were at work.
Yeah.
So for 5 days of 7, there wasn't a lot you could do.
I was unemployed in London once for a while. It couldn't have been that long. 3 weeks perhaps. And I remember I don't remember what I did with my day at all. I remember I got up and I went for a run in those days and then came back and went through the papers looking for jobs. And by that time I can't remember what I did with the rest of the afternoon. I think I must have been making clothes at that time as well. So I was probably doing quite a lot of sewing.
So that's all right. So you actually had stuff you were doing, whereas I literally fell out of a job and didn't know what I wanted to do next.
Yeah.
So, and I was depressed as well. So you've got this, and not working made that worse. Not having a purpose.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it definitely does because you've got no. Well, you've got no. That's just so weird, isn't it? That thing of not having a purpose.
There's loads of research that even just having make work, like digging holes for no apparent reason, will make you more motivated than not digging a hole and having nothing to do. Yeah. because that's how we're designed. We need to do stuff. That's what the body will reward us for.
Well, that's why kids start playing, isn't it? They get bored and then they start playing. And then I remember being very intent on things like building dams and things. That gave me, we all marched up the downs and found a stream and started to make dams and things. It just gives you something to do, doesn't it? And you get really invested in it as well.
Yeah, and you learn a lot from doing it as well. Yeah. I'm not sure how much you'd learn from digging holes, but
it depends what you're digging them for. Just to bury your Bitcoin. Bury your safe that's got your keys in it. Oh my God, how funny. So in conclusion then, I think we're both pretty decided that we would spend some time doing things that are fun and lots of time with people we care about, but we definitely have to have something that gives purpose in life.
Also, I mean, I'm still ready to get better at something new. And there's a great book by Matthew Syed called Bounce, which is it kind of shows how you could be a world-class expert in anything you like, absolutely anything, if you apply 10 years of effort. And I was like, so I'm 45. If I didn't have to work again now, then I'd be tempted to go and become world expert in 3 or 4 new things before I retire.
Well, that's the 10,000 hours principle, isn't it? If you work every evening and weekends at something for 10 years, you put in 10,000 hours, and that makes you more of an expert than anyone else. That's a Malcolm Gladwell thing.
That one is. It's not quite the same. So when Bounce, it gives you the technique to use to get actually world class at it, not just good.
Okay.
Which is about, in essence, it boils down to making it more difficult every single day that you do it, so you get better at it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
for instance, you could drive the same route and commute the same route every day for 10 years. It would not make you a world class driver, even though you might have spent 10,000 hours doing it. You'd be probably world class on that route, but nothing else.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the book, Bounce, The Myth of Talent and the Book of Practice.
Yes, that's the one. I highly
By
recommend that.
Matthew Syed. Oh, okay. I'm going to put that on my. I've gone back to normal books now.
As opposed to
Oh,
Kindle.
Yeah, I just don't get to them if I've got a Kindle. Whereas if I've got a book that I can actually carry around with me, it reminds me to read it.
That's fair. Also, I have a lot of real books because my daughter keeps stealing my Kindle and reading books.
They haven't got a paperback. They've only got a Kindle edition hardcover.
Really?
Whatever.
Although, I mean, to be honest, I think I read it on my Kindle. So
I'm adding it to my basket.
it's great.
Oh,
So, I mean, a guy set out in, I think it was Hungary or somewhere like that, to prove that anyone could be a world champion in chess. Okay. And
Wow.
He actually picked a subject he'd never played. He was like, I believe anyone could be a world champion. This is from the book. And he said, right, if I'm gonna have a kid, I'm gonna bring them up to a world champion chess player. It took him a little while to find a wife who was up for the challenge with him, but he did. And he had daughters, and the first daughter, Julie, became a world champion chess player, as did the second and the third.
No.
Yes. And it was all
That's
about the
amazing.
approach and making them love the game, not forcing them to play, making them love the game, and then just upping the challenge level all the time. And
I've just watched Queen's Gambit. It was absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. But also in the book, it talks about even stuff you think you might not be very good at. If you put the time in and the techniques in, you'd be good at it. So you might not think you're any good at maths, for instance.
Oh, I didn't when I was at school. Yeah. Neither did my maths teacher.
But actually, with the right techniques and challenges, you could be. So I think in the book, it talks about they tested some maths teachers or scientists against a bunch of cashier checkout people from a department store on lots of different maths exercises. And the cashiers beat them.
No.
Because of the type of mental arithmetic they were always having to do in their heads.
Yeah. It had grown that bit of their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So for instance, I've always thought I'd be no good at art because I was no good at art at school, which is why the first challenge I would do would be something artistic. And I would want to be like a world-class, I don't know, painter within 10 years. That would be my challenge to myself.
You'd have to pick a medium because there's lots of different mediums.
Yeah. But I mean, so the first year is fun, isn't it? You're trying out lots of different mediums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what foundation level art is supposed to be at art college, but I found some of it very painful indeed. I have to have a motivation. So, for example, with maths, I became very motivated to work out how to do maths when I found out about property investing. Mm-hmm. And I needed to be able to work out return on investment for different kinds of deals and things. I got very good at maths very fast then.
Yeah, I mean, these things happen. You need something extra to give you the interest in that particular thing. Yeah. I wouldn't just paint for the sake of painting. I would need a theme or something to support. God knows what it would be.
Whose paintings do you like? When you go to galleries, or do you?
I'm quite simple. I like really bright, colourful stuff. So maybe I would go and study African art. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then try and bring that back and do I don't know, a South Downs scape in an African art style or something.
Oh, nice. Okay, that was one of the fun exercises at art college. We had to go and take a picture of our favourite landscape and then recreate it in the style of our favourite painter. And mine was Mondrian at the time, so it was just big blocks of squares. It was great fun. And then we had to turn it into a fabric. So I was doing fashion design at art college. And then we had to turn it into a fabric, and then we had to make an item of clothing from it. It was a fantastic project.
So that's cool. I mean, I had
Yeah,
a
that's
fleeting idea yesterday, which was to paint underwater landscapes, seascapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go learn to scuba dive and then to go and take pictures.
Yeah, or, I mean, actually, my brain was going, can I paint while I'm under there? And,
Oh, you want to be painting underwater? You're a nutter, you are.
I thought that'd be fun. There are some logistical issues with it.
Yeah, especially if it's watercolor.
But that's not going to work.
Oil might work.
Yeah, maybe a bit polluting.
Yeah, possibly. Yes.
Yeah, but there's probably a way to do it. So it would be fun to work that out.
It would, to solve the challenges.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book called The Zulu Principle about investing that I read many years ago by Jim Slater. How do I remember that? And he said that if you he used the example of becoming an expert on Zulus. And he said, if you go, I said this before.
You have, actually. I think we've done it in another podcast, but hey, it's good.
No, I don't want to bore everyone. It was basic. Yeah, I won't bore everyone. But look up The Zulu Principle by Jim Slater, and you'll find it. It's a great example. Again, of that, if you focus on something very tightly and spend enough time on it, you'll get really good.
It's much.
And what was what was it? There was a book. Was it a Malcolm Gladwell book where he talks about how talent practice does win out over talent because people with talent aren't necessarily. It's like my sister Heather is so incredible as a singer, but she doesn't really believe she is, and she'd rather be gardening.
Okay.
Which is interesting, isn't it? So someone else who isn't as good a singer as her would probably have more success because they might believe in themselves more. They might be so into it, they want to just do it all the time rather than gardening.
Yes, that would make sense. Or she could be the singing gardener. I would combine the two things.
Yeah.
Because they say plants grow faster if you sing to them and talk to them.
That's very true.
Yeah?
Yes, that's very true. so if she's humming under her breath, they're getting a more tuneful.
Maybe that's why she thinks she likes gardening. Maybe she's been humming to them all along without realizing.
She is a very good gardener, I must say. She does. Her plants do thrive. Mm-hmm. So there you go. And unfortunately, anything that I hummed to wouldn't thrive very well for very long.
Yeah, I've got a dying plant.
Oh, bless. So what are you looking forward to this week then?
This week, well, my Gameful Leadership Guild kicks off again for the year in 45 minutes. I'm really looking forward to this session. I've got a few of my mentees coming to present what they've been working on for the last month or so, get some feedback. Then next week, I'm talking to an interesting potential new client. I have a new client that's kicked off, so I've got to run a workshop for them middle of the week. I've got less time to work because the schools are closed, so homeschooling is back on the agenda.
Oh my God.
And this time they really want the kids to do the work as well. Last time it was like all about survival and making their mental health okay. This time they're like, yeah, you did that last time. Just make sure they do all the work.
Yeah. And are the teachers actually teaching by Zoom?
No, it's different in different schools. So
yeah.
Lana's school is recording like one video a week, but they've curated a bunch of other videos that are available. So I'm not sure it's the same teacher each time. So they got different online resources from different, to be fair, why should they create something from scratch when they can pull together the best stuff from other places?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it does make it a little bit more disjointed. I've been watching how she does it with interest. And how the subjects come across. Yeah,
and is Lana okay? Is she coping with all that?
Well, I mean, we're only like 3 days in, so
right.
She's fine at the moment. We will see.
And I noticed something on LinkedIn that was a really good video you made for the chamber about the exporting.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I mean, there's a great person at the Chamber of Commerce called Laura. Laura Evans. Phew. Who has been doing loads of video stuff and supporting the chamber for years now, and she interviewed me about the export leaders sessions, which are kicking off the week after next, because I didn't think I'd be able to bring it to life, actually just reading out some stuff. So she interviewed me and then edited it together really well.
Yeah, no, it really, I was very impressed.
I mean, I like a little bit of work like that, and then so I was impressed, and she's just finished editing all my conference videos.
Oh, brilliant.
So outsourced that. Had the last ones delivered yesterday. And there was one session which I thought was unrescuable. and she's turned it into what looks like an amazing interview. I watched it yesterday, and I was like, this doesn't feel like the thing we did live. It feels much better.
Oh, that's really cool, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, that's a real skill, isn't it, to bring something out of something you didn't think was savable.
Yeah.
That's
So
has she got a company? We might as well give her a plug, mightn't we, for
yes,
video
it's
editing?
Let's Talk Video Production, I think.
Nice, very nice.
I'll just check that.
Yeah, find the URL for us. In the Brighton area, Brighton, Shoreham, Worthing area.
Yeah, Let's Talk videoproduction.com.
Right, I'm going to have a look at her website as soon as we finish.
Yeah.
Because video editing is not something I can outsource to Phoebe anymore. She's not interested in doing my stuff.
Oh, well, no, Laura's really good.
Yeah, good. All right, that's great then. And anything else that you're going to be doing apart from that?
We are going to be doing themed nights occasionally because we can't travel. So, I might even show you this because it's a bit of fun. We wrote down every country in the world and stuck it in a jar. And so every so often we'll pull one out. And there's a little map we drew on it of the world as well.
How many countries are there in the world?
I think it was like 200, something like that.
Wow, okay.
And we rejected the first one we drew out.
Which
Out
was?
of all of these, right? Pick one out. What did it say? UK.
No. So is this for a cooking evening?
Yeah. So what do we do? We cook some food from that country, find a music playlist on Spotify or something around from that country, and find a film from that country and watch that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's quite a good one. I like that a lot.
It's cool. And so sometimes we give ourselves a couple of weeks lead time just in case we've got to get the ingredients.
Obscure. Have you done any yet that involve very obscure ingredients that you can't get hold of? You can get everything online now, though, can't you?
Well, there's a great Chinese supermarket in Southwick Square where we managed to get loads of the ingredients for our last one, which was Thailand. So.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. And there's also spicemountain.com or .co.uk. You can get anything at Spice Mountain.
Spice Mountain.
I mean, some of the Hello Fresh recipes use this thing called ketchup money.
Okay.
And we weren't sure what it was at all. It's like a really, really intense soy sauce and honey mixture. So it's not like ketchup at all, but it's called ketchup money. And it's just delicious to put with mince. It's really good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I love that. Yes. Okay. I'll just sort of another thing then. A Villa Tuscany retreat to learning how to cook pasta or make and cook pasta.
Make and cook it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
The last time we tried was a disaster. Made it too thin. So,
so what are you up to and looking forward to in the next week?
well, I've got possibly my last ever Clicks and Leads challenge on the 18th of January, which I've had. I've been advertising, so I've had quite a good take-up rate. I was managing to get leads for. I got it down to £8 at one point, but it was averaging about £11 a lead. So I've got quite a good number of people in it, and I'm going to set it all up. And I've had to relearn bot marketing because the Brexit thing has made a difference to what Facebook and ManyChat are allowed to do. So I've had to relearn that in a different way. So yeah, and if it goes well and I attract clients, then that'll be wonderful. And if it doesn't, then that'll be the last one. So I'm unattached to the outcome.
Okay. Yeah. So because you're thinking about what would I do if I didn't have to work again?
Yes. Well, I don't. The thing is, I do enjoy running them because they're all automated. Once you spend a day setting it all up, and then it actually delivers by email every morning that are linked to the next task, and the videos are all done. So you just have to put the videos in and set them up to release every day in the group. Totally automated, and all I then have to do is pitch up in the afternoon and answer questions live on video, which is the connection bit. And people do get some really, really brilliant results from it. I'm really, I'm really always very gratified at the people who take action get some great results. So
that's what it's for, isn't it?
I do love doing it.
We like helping people make a difference.
Yes, we do. And making a difference in their business is now more important than ever, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And what else are we doing? We'll be watching the rest of The Stand. We've got the rest of the Queen's Favourite to watch. We're getting very good at rigging up things so we don't have to get off the sofa to change the channel and things like that. Because if we're watching
a remote control, but okay.
We have got remote controls, but some of the things we watch on my laptop, and that involves. So we've just ordered a 10-foot cable that goes from the back of the telly to my laptop. So we're very lazy like that. Once I finish work and sit on that sofa, I don't want to have to move very much. No. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge and filling that up. I've got one. It's on the 18th, so I've got 2 more weeks of promotion.
Yeah,
I'm still trading Bitcoin, trying to grow my Bitcoin pot without losing any Bitcoins. Yeah. It's quite a challenge. Most days I chip away and make about a 1% gain, and then sometimes it's like snakes and ladders. You slip back down when the big jump happens. You're caught in a trade, then you get a little bit of a not such a good day, but then you chip away at it again. So that's an ongoing thing, learning how to do that.
Yeah, I've just been mainly because I was having a break, just not touching it.
I don't think you need to at the moment, really. I think most people would just buy and hold, definitely.
That's why I did the Ripple thing, just because I was missing doing a trade.
Yeah, well, Yuffie's doing some good jumps around at the moment, apparently.
Yeah, but that one's not in my basket of things I can trade on in eToro. So it's about simplifying.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a bunch of crypto stuff you can invest in, but that's not one of them.
Yeah, okay. Cool. All right. Well, we will see you same time, same place next week.
Or probably on the Thursday, not the Friday, but yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's my fault this week. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Helps me feel better about my previous week's ones.
Yeah, that's right. It's all good. Swings and roundabouts. Great stuff. So if anyone wants to know any of the stuff that we've talked about this week, I think then that you just have to listen to it, won't they?
Yeah, well, perfect. What a good idea. Start again from the beginning.
Yeah. Start again from the beginning. Give us plenty of likes. Give us plenty of subscribes if you're watching on one of those platforms. And we'll see you next week.
Fantastic. Happy New Year again, everyone.
Happy New Year. You're listening to the PokeIt podcast with Pete Jenkins and Nicola Cairncross. You can find Pete at gamificationplus.uk and you can find Nicola at clicksandleads.com. And do come and join our private Facebook group. Just search PokeIt Podcast on Facebook.